Hello everybody, it's Mike here at Game from Scratch, and we have another Humble bundle. Now it seems like Humble have discovered that game developers like getting things for cheap, and they've been running more and more of these bundles that are relevant for game developers. And what I've done is basically for the past several months, 4 or 5 months, whenever the bundle seemed relevant to game development, I've purchased it and gave you hands-on so you get an idea if this bundle is worth getting or not. And I've done that again, and this bundle is all about breaking into the game industry. It's a collection of books from CRC Press, who are generally pretty good. I don't have a whole lot of experience with CRC books. I've bought a couple in the past, and the quality, it's not packed level stuff. Like we're generally talking well-edited, pretty consistent quality books here. And this is a very eclectic assortment. Now, some of this stuff is going to appeal to some people and very much not to others. They've kind of gotten books together here that are a bit, again, across the spectrum of what you get. So exactly, if you're new to a Humble bundle, how this works is basically it is structured at tiers. You pay for that tier, you get all of the product at that tier. You pay for the higher tier, you get all of the product at that tier and the lower tier. And then finally, if you get the top tier, you get everything. So for the example, if you pay $1, you get these 5 books. If you pay $8 US, you get these 5 books in addition, or 6 books in addition. And then finally, if you pay $15 US, you get these 5 books, 7 books, sorry, as well as these 6 books, as well as these 5 books here. It works out to a value like total at MSRP of about $800 in books, which is pretty impressive. Now, the cool thing also about Humble Bundle is when you buy it, you can choose how to allocate your money. So you can say, okay, I want to give this much to the publisher, I want to give this much to Humble, I want to give this much to charity, which is also a very cool part of this. And you can also say, I want to give this much to Game from Scratch. I have an affiliate program with them. So if you buy from this, you're really helping the channel out, which, by the way, thank you. In this particular case, the charity that they've got suggested is Girls Make Games or Charity Water. But you can also choose your own from the database of thousands of different charities. So whichever charity you want to support, you can choose when you check out. So this is a great way of just building up a huge pile of things that you're probably never going to read or use in your life, but at a very good price. Basically, this has replaced Steam sales for me. I buy Humble Bundle stuff the way I used to buy Steam, and my Steam library contains about 500 games that I'm never ever going to play. Well, in this particular case, it's kind of the same thing, but truth of the matter is, generally there's 1 or 2 or 3 books in there that appeal to me, and then those books I will definitely get my money's worth out of it. 15 bucks, basically one of these books has to land. So speaking of which, what exactly do we have in this bundle? Well, I'll do a quick run through all the titles here at each different tier, and then I'll show you the table of contents from each book. I obviously can't go into a whole lot of depth, or this would be a 9-hour video. Plus, I've not read any of these books, so I can't even give you an opinion on them. So I can just give you kind of that surface level exposure. But at the top level tier, or the $1 tier, I mean, we've got creative character design, vintage games, becoming a video game artist, landscape techniques where inspiration, technique, and digital art meet, honoring the code, conversations with great game designers. Cool stuff so far. At the second tier, we have at $8, 3D game environments, create professional 3D game worlds. That one's a little bit more technical than a lot of these other books is, and that's going to be your challenge. A lot of these aren't, like programming, teach you how to program or teach you how to create art. They're more kind of a higher level than that. But if you're looking at getting into the industry, these might actually be quite helpful for you. So next up, we've got designing the user experience of game development tools, indie game developer handbook, creative direction in a digital world, 3D machine techniques, which is also providing the cover image for this video itself, vintage game consoles, which is honestly the one that I'm going to read next because I like reminiscing about my childhood, women in game development, game design theory, indie game marketing, mobile and social game design, UX career or user experience careers handbook, write your way into animation and games, and white space is not your enemy, a beginner's guide to communicating visually through graphic, web, and multimedia design. So like I said, there is a very, very eclectic mix of games, game development books there. And a lot of them are kind of unique in the topics they cover. There's not a lot of indie game marketing books out there, for example, or books that are kind of geared towards getting you into a career if this is where you want to be. So now let's take a quick look at each book in turn, and then we'll go through, like I said, I'll scroll down, show you the table of contents, move on to the next book, and continue. So here's creative character design. Let's get to the table of contents. Oh, these are going to load so slow. Oh no, that's just a blank page. All right, so here we go. I'm not going to bother reading it. You can actually see it yourself. What I will do is zoom it a bit though so you can see. So it's actually a fairly short book, but next up we've got Vintage Games 2.0. Okay, why are some of these scrolling left and right? Some of these are scrolling up and down. I do not know. So here's your table of contents here. A lot of kind of history and hands-on with the books, or with the topic here. Ooh, Ultima. Early majority, late majority, the laggards. So kind of a history of books. Becoming a video game artist. And here we're going left and right this time again. So where's our table of content? Introduction, general concept and skills, introduction to being an animator, introduction to being a character artist, introduction to being a concept artist, introduction to being an environment artist, introduction to being a technical artist, introduction to being a UI artist, visual effects artist, general portfolio theory and application, crafting an animation portfolio, crafting a character art portfolio, crafting a concept art portfolio, crafting an environment art portfolio, crafting a technical art portfolio, crafting a user interface artist portfolio. Okay, it just keeps going and going. Okay, there we go. So a lot of this is actually literally about creating your CV or portfolio and applying for job. Kind of cool thing here, we also have a couple of the interview questions and things to expect when applying for an art job. And I know these are questions that a lot of potential artists actually have, so it's cool to see it codified in book form. Next up, we have 3D landscape techniques. Oh, we're gonna go left to right again. All right, the table of contents is here. All right, nicely condensed. Chapter 1, software choices, composition, render camera lenses, depth of field, close-up work, black and white styles, landscape masters at work, mountain scenes, seascapes, rivers and lakes, water features, desert scenes, woodlands, architectural visualization, characters in landscape, urban landscapes, weather and seasons, post-industrial, sci-fi, fantasy, post-production editing, and then miscellaneous. Next up, we have white space is not your enemy. Unfortunately, these are not in order by tier. I thought they were when I opened them, but this is actually in the top tier. So my apologies there. So chapter 1, what is design? Step away from the computer. I need this design today. Layout sins, mini art school, layout, type, color basics, adding visual appeal, infographics, storyboarding, design for social media, but not really, designing for the web, fit to print, conclusion. Next up, we have Han, honoring the code. We'll give this a second to load in because... yeah, I'll just pause this. Be right back. And this one actually could be the first book I actually read here, depending on who the game designers are, but it's a series of interviews with game designers. And we have contents. Chapter 1, Honoring the Code. Chapter 2, John Romero. Chapter 3, Rebecca Heineman, Tim Kaine, Brian Fargo, Chris Avallone, Chris Taylor, Howard Scott Warshaw, John Hare, Ralph Baer, David Fox, George Sanger, Mark Soderwell, Megan Gazer, Paul Reisch, and Fred Ford. Sorry if I mangled all your names. And that's it. And you know what? I think this one just jumped to the top of my to-read list because there's a lot of who's who of the history of game development there. Next up, we have 3D game environments, create professional 3D game worlds. Let's find us the table of contents here. Game world optimization, three-dimensional concepts, shaders and materials. It's a very weird collection of things. Planning the low polygon urban environment, modeling the large urban environment, texturing the large urban environment, introduction to natural environments, terrain, filling the world, modeling and texturing the jungle base. This seems to be more of a hands-on one, which is interesting. Focus on the futuristic interior, normal maps, and multipass shaders. Next up, we have designing the user experience of game development tools. That one's interesting too, because I have this fetish for tool development. I always find it very, very interesting. Contents, introduction. Welcome to designing the user interface of game development tools, user interface design process. What does it mean to be user-centered? Analysis, design, evaluation, back to analysis, real-world user-centered design, and then conclusion. Again, a relatively short book, but very specialized topic. So next up, we have the Indie Game Developer Handbook. I have absolutely no idea what the contents of this book will be, so let's find out. Development tools and resources. So run down to various different game engines, self-publishing, QA, localization, age rating, PR, and reaching out to the press, marketing, advertising, websites, forums, and social control, funding, tax, legal, and other odds and ends. Actually, that's a pretty interesting collection of things if you're looking at the business side of launching your own game. Next up, we have Creative Direction in a Digital World, a guide to being a modern creative director. All right, this one's tertiary to game development, but let's get down to the table of contents. So we have learn and design, understand your audience, brand strategy, the process of ideation, is that a word? Ideation and concepting, the elements of great design, changing behavior by design, designing content that's awesome, making your message spread, building and showing the digital design process, presenting your work like a pro, keeping yourself motivated. And next up, we have the cover art. 3D machine techniques, where inspiration techniques and digital art meet. That one, I have no idea what this is actually going to be about either, so let us get to the table of contents. Oh, that was it. I got a very colorful table of contents. Section 1, previs for machines. Section 2, machine masters at work. Section 4, okay, I missed a chapter. 2 is cars, 3 is industrial and agriculture, 4 is powered flight, 5 is motorbikes, 6 is trains and trams, 7 is ground-based military, 8 is nautical, 9 is steampunk, 10 is robots, 11 is sci-fi vehicles, 12 is sci-fi spaceships. I have no idea what this book is about. Post-processing, post-production, and then finally resource. Looks like it's a collection of interviews from designers, but I'll have to get into that one a little bit more detail to find out. By the way, if you have any questions going forward, I can refer to the books and answer you in the comments down below. Vintage game consoles. It's going to be another history book, and I love these kind of things. So, Gen 1, you got things like the Atari 2600, the Intellivision, my first ever console, Commodore 64, so on. Generation 2, hey, my 8-bit Atari is there, never mind. Generation 2, Generation 3, so it's kind of like a history of consoles coming up to the Nintendo GameCube. Next, we have women in game development, breaking the glass level cap. This one is Introduction, Brenda Romero, Rebecca Hanham. Oh, it's an interview book. That's cool. From the Beginning, Julie Terrier, Brianna Wu, Charisma Williams. It Starts in the Classroom, Women in Computer Science, Jane Nake. Sorry, no idea. Kimberly Unger, You Must Be an Artist, Stereotypes and Realities About Female Game Artists. Laurelyn McWilliams, Elizabeth Lipensky, I'm screwing these names up badly. Elizabeth Sembat, Aaron Hoffman John, Girls Don't Hate Combat, Variety in Game Design. Jennifer Brandes Hepler, Sherry Granner Ray, Write What You Know, How Female Writers Expand a Game's Audience, Megan Gaser, Carrie Toyama, Good, Fast, or Cheap, What Does a Game Producer Do Anyways, Katie Postma, Diane Pryor, Justice CM, why community management is judged so harshly, Sherry Rubin, The Average Player, How Game Testing Departments Can Bias Their Results, Lee Alexander, Maddie Bryce, Anita, no comment, Conclusion, and that is the end of the book. Really wish one entry wasn't in there personally, but I'm not going down that road. Game Design Theory, a new philosophy for understanding games. Here we've got introduction, the concept of a game on game design, how we got here through the lens video games, through the lens board games, predictions. All right. We have a practical guide to indie game marketing. Again, there's not a lot of information out there on this particular topic, so this could be interesting if you're trying to market your own title. Introduction, marketing fundamentals, branding, developing your marketing campaign and calendar, marketing vehicles that can work well for indies, developing the market plan, PR, market materials, audience community development, post-launch, what if something goes wrong? And we've got mobile and social game designs. Give it a second to load in. All right, there we go. Monetization methods and mechanics. So we have table of contents somewhere. Introduction, what is a social game? Are mobile games social? History of game monetization. Why create a social or mobile game? Industry terms and metrics. What is a social network? How to acquire, keep, and regain users. Monetization strategies. Virtual goods, currency, conclusion. So basically a book about monetizing games. The UX Careers Handbook. I have no idea what this is going to go with either, so let's get down to the table of contents. Establish your foundation, getting a job, recruiters and employers, career glimpse, what specifically can you do? Yeah, okay, that one's a little different. Write your way into animation in games, creating a writing career in animation in games. So we covered off pretty much every profession but programming, I think, here. So we got a lot for UI designers, a lot for graphic artists, a lot for marketing and promotional stuff, and then finally we have something here for writers, but nothing really out there for programmers. But truth of the matter is most game development books are for programmers anyways, and they're kind of getting to be a dime a dozen. So you know what? This, again, is a broad spectrum of books across a number of different topics. And I know, again, some are going to appeal to some people and really not appeal to others. And I get that right up front. So what do we got? Table of contents on this one. It's the first thing you need to know, widening your perspective, opening the doors. Why have we got a first thing you need to know again? Oh, writing for games, the first thing you need to know about writing for games. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Interactive narrative, widening your perspective, serious games, opening the door. So almost 400 pages on writing for games, though, and that's a fairly unique topic, to be honest. And that is it. Now, the cool thing is when you buy these titles, you basically get all of them like this. I found out, much to my chagrin, if you click this bulk download thing, you can pick the type you want to download and click bulk download, and it will actually launch like 15 different download windows, which I was expecting to zip into one single archive, but hey, that works. So here you see that most of the books are available in multiple different formats, PRC, EPUB, and PDF, so you can use it on your Kindle, your not Kindle, and your PC, or basically everywhere. But every single book here is available in PDF form, as we just saw. Some are only in PDF form, but the cool thing is if you have a mobile device, you can get it on that device. And there's also some functionality or instructions how to get from the Humble Bundle to your Kindle device in the first place. So yeah, that is today's Humble Bundle. I gotta say, it's a very interesting collection of books. Let me know which ones actually do interest you, or is it none at all? Is it specific ones, or does the whole spectrum kind of appeal to you? Personally, I've always loved things like game developer magazines, developer interviews. I love developer interviews in general, so all of those books that basically are one-on-one with developers, I'll be going through. I also like my past, so I'm going to be going through and reading those console-based ones for sure. And that's probably about it for myself. But if you guys have any specific questions about any of the books in this chapter or in this bundle, do let me know. I will try to cover it as best as possible in the comments down below. And once again, if you buy it through the link down below, you are helping the channel out, and I really do appreciate that. So again, it's cool to see the last Humble Bundle a week or so ago was about programming, but not specifically about game development. This one is the exact opposite, 100% about all facets of game development except programming. And you know what? It's an interesting bundle. I'll be curious to hear what you guys think of the contents. Also, what do you think of CRC Press in general? Like I said, my experiences are limited, but have been generally positive in the past. All right, that's it for now. Talk to you all later. Goodbye.